Hey everyone, it's 747Cuber, and this is my 2021 cube collection. Alright, so we're going to start with my original 2x2 through 5x5 puzzles right down there at the top left. Starting off, this is the Rubik's 2x2 2.0. It's not the best turning 2x2 at all. It has like 0 corner cutting. However, it is still a Rubik's brand 2x2. It's actually smaller than most 2x2s, but there you go. This is a Rubik's 2x2 2.0. This is a Rubik's branded 3x3, the 2.0 version. This is my very first cube. It doesn't turn very good anymore, and it never really turned very good. However, it's the first cube I got, and I used it for a couple decent months before I got that cube. Here's the 2.0 Rubik's 4x4. This is also not a very good turning 4x4. A center popped out again, and that's just kind of an issue on this one. Once again, also my very first 4x4, and it doesn't turn very good. In fact, sometimes you can get weird lockups, like the middle layer can turn independently of these layers. Fun fact about the Rubik's 2.0 cubes, they all come with these tiles instead of stickers, and these tiles just never wear off. Here's the original Rubik's 5x5. This is the only 5x5 that Rubik's made. And it's also not very good turning, as you would expect from another Rubik's brand. And it locks up a lot, and very weird thing about this cube, you can actually twist the centers. Also, since this is a stickered Rubik's 5x5, you can see the quality of Rubik's stickers is just not very good. Alright, now we're moving on to the complete opposite of these cubes. So these are my main speed cubes, and these are what I use in WCA competitions, so the World Cube Association. This is my main 2x2, the, wait for it, Mo Huan Xiaosu Chu Wen 2x2, or if you want to be simple, the Chu Wen 2x2. So this is a pretty decent 2x2. Next up, this is my main 3x3, the GAN 356 Air SM 2019 edition. So it turns very good, and it has magnets in it, which is one of the innovations from recent speed cubing. And this was used to set a lot of world records. So it is a good cube. Of course, there are a lot more newer, better GAN cubes out there, but this is still a decently good cube to have. And you can see the stickers have seen better days. And that's a disadvantage of stickered cubes, however, I am going to re-sticker it soon. Next up, my main 4x4, this is the Volk 4M with these strong magnets, so of course it's also magnetic, and it's really good 4x4. A lot of top speed cubers like to use it. It's also been used to set some good world records. Overall, very good 4x4, and yeah. This is my main for 5x5. This cube is the Mofeng Jiaoshi MF5S. So it's not the best 5x5, however, it's a good 5x5 to get started. However, it does have some issues with lockups. However, if you're just getting started on 5x5, it's still not that bad. And so my Pyraminx is the X-Man Bell magnetic Pyraminx. This is the original X-Man Bell. And so it, of course, has magnets. So Pyraminx is my favorite event. It's also the one I do the best at, and this is the cube I made with it. So yeah. Next up with Scube, this is the X-Man Wingy Scube. It's a decently good Scube. Of course, there are better Scubes available now, however, this is still a decently good Scube. So yeah, that's my Scube. Next up for Square One, this is the X-Man Volt Square One, of course also the original X-Man Volt. There is a V2 as well. This one's non-magnetic. I don't do Square One really that much, however I still have one. So yeah, this is my Square One, the X-Man Volt version 1. Now we go on to this Megaminx. This is the Shangshao Megaminx. I have actually never competed in Megaminx or Square One, and I don't really like Megaminx that much, and so you can see I kept it in the star pattern because I didn't want to bring all the corners back, because it's really just a really long drawn out solve, because it's just a bunch of F2L. But so yeah, I just decided to keep the cube like this. So there's your Megaminx. Now we're going to move on to this lineup, which is all my non-WCA puzzles that I got. So cubes that you won't be able to compete in official competitions. Starting off, this is the 1x1 Pyraminx, the hardest puzzle in my collection. Next up, this is the Tetraminx. It's modded from a Meffert's Pyraminx, so it's not the best turning, especially since I removed the ball bearing, so it doesn't even line into place. And so lockups are pretty common. However, it's basically just a Pyraminx, so that puzzle over there, but it has no tips. And instead, I put these stickers on here. This cube is called the Scube Extreme, so it's very similar to the Scube. It's very similar solved to a Scube, except you have to worry about center orientation, which is very similar to these sticker mods over here. This is the Shangshao Killaminx, or Kibaminx as some people call it. you may notice all the tape around it because I'm missing a few centers, because I use those for the Tetraminx over there. So I just kind of needed to keep it together just for this video, so there you go. Alright, this is a weird puzzle. This is the gear ball. So when you turn this side once, the middle layer turns once, and that's the gear ball. Next up is the Rubik's Void puzzle. So as you can see, this is a newer Void puzzle where they actually have regular stickers on it. And it's basically like a normal 3x3, except it has a huge hole in the middle. Next up, we're moving on to shape mods of 3x3s, starting with the mirror cube. This is the Chi-E mirror cube. It's pretty much the most common shape mod you'll see, and it's basically just a 3x3, but it's offset by the height of each piece. And so it's an interesting solve, however, it's not that much more difficult than a normal 3x3. Next up, this is the Mofang Jiaoshi wind mirror cube. So it's a combination between a windmill cube and a mirror cube. So you can see it's also offset like this, and then you have pieces that are offset by different heights. And it's also a little difficult because you have these lines on the centers, so I have to worry about which piece actually does specifically go where. This is the ghost cube, which as you can see, you can't actually turn it until you offset these two layers, like that, and then you can turn it, and it makes for a really difficult challenge. Next up, we're going on to sticker mods. So this is the Meffert's Mala Cube, which is basically the combination of a 3x3 and a Sudoku puzzle. You have to have each color only on each side once. Next up, this is a Rubik's branded Cubs cube. So this is the Chicago Cubs 3x3 cube, which as you can see, it's just got different pictures of this, and it's a picture cube, so you have to worry about center orientation as well. Next up, this is the V-Cube Circles United 3x3, which is a 3x3 made by the V-Cube company, and you solve it, you have to line up these corners like this. However, of course, V-Cube quality, it doesn't really turn that great. Next up, this is the Dollar Store Christmas 3x3, so it's not the best turning 3x3, and each picture, each side has a different Christmas-related picture. And as you can see, since the picture cube, these centers can be misaligned, so you just got to do an algorithm to get the centers lined up properly at the end, unless you actually start off with the centers in the right location. And so there you go. Alright, now we're moving on to other cubes that are also WCA puzzles. Starting off, this is the Chi-E Chidi S. It's actually really not that good turning because I may or may not have left this outside for a couple months, and then I also used it in a pool. So, really rusted, and colors are fading. Not a great 2x2, but I'm keeping it in the collection just for the sake of, since it was my first Speed Cube 2x2. This is the Kung Fu Yuhan 2x2. It is my second Speed Cube 2x2 that I had, and it's very good turning. I actually go back and forth between the Chu Wen and this as my 2x2. Of course, this cube was used for my 1 turn per day video, which you may have saw. So there you go. Now we're moving on to 3x3 cubes. So this is the Chi-E Warrior W, my first 3x3 speed cube, and really my first actual main cube. And of course, if we look inside, you can see it has the core of an MF3RS. This is the MF3RS, and this was also a very good speed cube. And this is actually the first cube I used to solve 3x3 in a competition. And it's a pretty good cube. And if we look inside, right now it has the core of a Chi-E Warrior W. Next up, this is the GAN 356R. In fact, I actually magnetized this GAN 356R, so it's also kind of going back and forth with the GAN Air as my main speed cube. I prefer this cube sometimes, however I also do like the stronger magnet strength of this cube, so yeah. This is the Meilong 3x3. It's a pretty good budget 3x3. I highly recommend it. And yeah, very good budget 3x3, very good for beginners. This is a V-Cube 4B, so the B means that it's pillowed. As you can see, it's white, so the white side is actually black stickers. And about these stickers, these aren't actually stickers. The colors are just printed on to the cube so that they don't actually peel off, however they can scratch off. Next up is another Scube. This is my only other Scube. This is the Chi-E Scube. It's a fairly decent Scube, however there are newer budget Scubes out that are way better than this, as well as, however this Scube was my main Scube for a long time until I got that wingy. This is the Chi-E Pyraminx. This is the original Chi-E Pyraminx. It's okay, but at the same time there's also much better Pyraminxes you can get nowadays, so it was a good budget Pyraminx at the time, however not the best anymore. However, this was my main Pyraminx and my first Pyraminx that I used at a comp as well. Now we're moving on to some Rubik's branded 3x3s, the last 3 Rubik's branded 3x3s, so last and pretty much least. This is a Rubik's 3x3. This is a stickered one. So you have the tiled version of the Rubik's 3x3, and you can also get a stickered one. And it has the original Rubik's Cube logo from back when they were selling the cube in the 1980s. This is another Rubik's brand 3x3. This was actually the Rubik's Build It, Solve It 3x3. And as you can see by the centers, it's also very similar to the Rubik's Speed Cube 3x3, the original one. And so it's not the best turning 3x3. However, basically you get a kit, and then you put everything together, and you basically make the 3x3. And the final cube in my collection is the Rubik's brand Metallic. So this is the 40th anniversary cube. And that completes my 2021 Rubik's Cube collection. So thank you for watching.